The story of a young boy who's a champion at horseshoe pitching.
My name is Mark Dyson. I'm 13 years old and I live in Taylorsville, North Carolina. I've been pitching horseshoes since I was about 3 years old. Around Taylorsville, it's always been a pretty popular game. Folks just like to get together and play for fun. I really became interested in horseshoe through Paul. He's my grandfather. Paul raised me. He loved horseshoes so much, he thought I ought to learn.
I think the horseshoe is a real good game for kids. All it takes for the game is a couple of horseshoes and some stobs and a backyard, and you can start pitching.
In the summer, we pitch a game almost every day. With all that practice, I got to be pretty good at it. When I was 11 years old, I qualified for the Junior World Championship in Statesville, North Carolina. That was the first time I won the World Championship. I won again last year in Huntsville, Alabama.
I believe you got 3 there, boy.
Okay.
3 on.
I compete in Class A competition. Class A competition is the highest level of competition. The basic idea is to get your horseshoe closer to the stake than your opponent's. Each player pitches 2 horseshoes per inning. The closest shoe scores 1 point. A ringer scores 3 points. The scorekeepers sit halfway between the stakes. The first player who gets to 50 points wins the game. The players circulate until everyone has played a game against each other. The player who wins the most games wins the competition.
Congratulations.
I've always looked forward to the afternoons when Mark and I can get out and enjoy a friendly game of horseshoe or 2 together. It is something that draws us closer together. You got me that time, but I'll get you next time. I've been playing horseshoe practically all my life. I really love the game of horseshoe. It makes me really happy to know that he's the first champion to come out of North Carolina.
I plan to compete in next year's championship too. I know the competition's going to be tough, but if I keep practicing with Paul, I'll be well prepared.
Take 3.
Rolling. Sound 9.
Whoa, I'm in the shot. You know, believe me, television isn't always what it appears to be. It takes a lot to put together a show like PM Magazine, a lot of hard work, long hours, and planning. But what about other television shows? Tonight, PM Magazine goes behind the scenes to find out when we follow Kids World's film crew to a horseshoe pitching contest in Statesville, North Carolina.
Hi, welcome to Kids World.
This is the news program for kids.
All the news is reported by kids.
This children's show is a favorite, and it's all the product of a husband and wife team.
Hi, I'm Bob Behrens. My wife Betsy and I produced the Kids World series, and we're here at Videotape Associates in Fort Lauderdale, Florida on the Kids World set.
Here in Florida, Bob and Betsy Behrens run a production house. Kids World, a magazine-style show for kids, is their product. A staff of researchers, producers, cinematographers, and film editors gather stories from kids all over the country. There are kids building rockets, kids learning other cultures, and kids tapping syrup. Ideas for Kids World come from viewers at a rate of 500 a week.
Hi, we're the St. Anthony's cheerleading squad from New Bedford, Massachusetts.
We got to be on television because I wrote to Kids World and told them about our cheering squad.
If you have a good story idea, write to Kids World in care of the station you're watching right now.
Right today!
With a large inventory of story potential, the Kids World staff is divided into crews that will film from 2 to 4 weeks at a time. Joy Stevens and Dan Sweetlick are in the middle of a working tour from Florida to Virginia. In Taylorsville, North Carolina, they prepare for a story on a kid who pitches horseshoes. The special thing about Mark Dyson is the fact that he's a junior world champion.
Okay, leave that one there. Now this time...
Joy and Dan must take an idea that has been assembled on paper and turn it into a film story. They've been well briefed on their story, but sometimes even the best laid plans can go awry.
We have a pretty good idea of what we want to do before we get there, but of course, we never quite know. I mean, I didn't know this was going to be such a pretty place until we get here. Sometimes we have to drastically change our script.
You get a lot of surprises, you know.
Yeah.
You find out people aren't quite what they said they were going to be, or the place they're doing it in is something that's going to make it awfully hard to work with.
The crew is lucky today. After loading the camera, the only real problem they have to handle is difficult lighting. Dan readies the sound equipment, and Joy directs the cast before the shooting begins.
6. Okay, Mark, I don't know whether you were here when we were talking before. I'm just going to have your pa sitting over there, all right? First thing I'm going to be doing is giving Dan here a direction to turn on his tape recorder. Once he has his tape recorder rolling, he will say sound. Then I'll say slate. And then he's going to hold up that slate there and hit it for me. Okay? And that's very important because what that does is that enables us to connect the sound that he's recording and the picture that I'm taking later when we do the editing.
The filming goes smoothly, but for Mark and his grandfather, Flake Dyson, it still means performing over and over and over.
Pretend you're doing it again. I want to see how far out you're going to be walking. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, go ahead.
You know, the kids always have so much enthusiasm about what they're doing. They're always very curious, very interested, and they have so much energy. And many times we have much more trouble with the adults when we're trying to do a story. The adults are too self-conscious. They have their own opinions on how we should be doing things. The kids are very obedient, very interested. So it's great working with them. It's, you know, many times it's much nicer working with kids than adults.
After Joy and Dan have gathered all the pieces needed to complete their story, and at the end of their trip through the Southeast, they return to edit the final story. The film is cut to fit a pre-recorded music track. Then, in the Miami studio, the co-host of Kids World introduce each segment under the direction of Bob Behrens.
Okay? Terrific, Gretch. Janet Wu in a box. Okay, Janet, the line is next on Kids World.
After months of work, the Horseshoe feature is ready for the final step.